Hey, how are you, everybody? This is Keith McGurk with Remax Southern Shores, joined again by Tim Diedrich from Edge Home Financing. How you doing, Tim?
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Great. Actually, I had a coffee meeting a couple weeks ago with a local builder here. I forgot it is Friday, so the answer to that question is I'm super fantastic. Shout out to Michael Ritchie. I'm sure you'll see this on social media later on. So, Tim, one of the biggest reasons why I brought you on today. The housing market, I mean, it's been a consistent, just coffee table, dinner table conversation across the country. Everything about the housing market's been turned on its ear. We've seen interest rates go from 2.0 to 7.5. And so now I need to bring you in to kind of reel us all, back into a realm of calm and understanding that the market is what the market is. During a podcast with Tad Fulford last week, he asked me, what do you think about the market? What's your opinion? And I just simply said, I don't care. I don't have any control over it. So we got to work in the market that we're given, right?
Absolutely.
So you're going to bring a little clarification into all this. But before we get started, I want to just quickly share my screen and show kind of the viewers what we've been talking about. When you see things like this slide from Keeping Current Matters, keep in mind these are national publications. So this is a peek at the national housing market. You see a slide that says, even though housing inventory has definitely taken off over the last, I would say, year, in the last 6 to 12 months, it's still 43% lower on a national average pre-pandemic. What does that say to you, Tim?
Well, listening to all the pundits, the folks who actually know this stuff, that number is kind of staggeringly low. There's just not enough housing, basically, to go around. So as the age demographic changes and more of the, I don't know if it's Gen Y or whoever, more of those folks enter the market, we need a lot more housing. And so hopefully that number, the number of homes on the market is going to increase.
Right. Well, as I led into this, I said that this is national, but pointed out that our local market, again, what makes the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area so attractive, probably I think it's still in the top 3 largest growing metropolis areas in the country. And the number one reason behind that is all of the new construction. You're probably going to hear some hammering and some machines outside my window because there are 3 houses being built across the street from me right now. So we talked a little bit about housing starts. What is that number looking like right now for our local market?
I don't have the local number, although I just know nationally housing starts are down. But to your point, here you can't go anywhere without seeing a new development. So
Right.
we blow the national statistic away as far as housing starts. I'm confident of that.
Yep. Yep. As a matter of fact, I think there's still a large group of people that is trying to slow building in a couple of our areas just until we get some infrastructure built in. That's how fast we're growing here. We're outgrowing the roads that were built first. Kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, they're here, and so are their cousins, and we need some bigger roads. So
Right.
that's one slide. And now the ever-present, doomsday prediction since COVID started, since the housing shortage started. Is there going to be another housing bubble? Is there going to be another 2007, 2008? This slide, I think, clearly defines the reason why my answer has resoundingly been no from the very beginning, because it's apples to asparagus. It's not the same. It's not in the same family of comparisons. What are you seeing here with this slide?
Again, you're the real estate expert, and all I can do is just give you the financing side of those numbers. And again, I've been doing this for 23 years. 2007, 2010 were in that time frame, but I'm not seeing any conditions, whether it's in the mortgage investors, Housing numbers available, I'm not seeing anything like we had then. So again, federal regulation has sort of put us in a position where I don't think that's going to happen again. But you know,
I
time could tell,
agree.
but I just don't think it.
I think, you know, let's give compliments when compliments are due. I think the government actually did the right thing and corrected our mortgage process, sometimes making it too hard for some folks, but that's okay. You know, we're talking about owning, you know, $250,000 to a multi-million-dollar piece of property. It shouldn't be easy, right? It shouldn't just be
Right.
free of effort. But I'm glad to see that there are some regulations. All right. So
Gotcha.
let me stop sharing my screen. Let's get both of us back in this picture here, and let's talk about this transition now, because mortgage rates have started to trend downward again.
Mhm.
I don't know that we're going to see 2.5% anytime soon, but it would be nice to see like high fours, you know, maybe mid fives, and there's some pretty good, very solid predictions out there that are saying maybe that's possible. What do you think about that?
Okay, let me dispel a couple of inaccuracies when it comes to long-term mortgage rates. So when the Fed increases the Fed rate, basically, it has little to no impact whatsoever on long-term interest rates. So if you tune into Fox News or CNN, whatever your flavor is, and you hear that the Fed is going to jack rates, please understand that it's not going to affect long-term mortgage rates. Our mortgage rates are really based on a number of factors. Number one is the 10-year treasury. So if you do a Google search on the 10-year treasury versus long-term interest rates, you're going to find a number of resources available that you can kind of dive into. So that would be one of them. Number two is nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows. And let me give you an example. I'm going to read off my screen here. Folks may have heard of the Mortgage Bankers Association. It's sort of our parent group. Here's what they have to say. Long-term rates have already peaked. We expect that the 30-year mortgage rate will end 2023 at 5.2%. That's from the Mortgage Bankers Association. From your trade association, Keith, it is the National Association of Realtors. And they say if inflation continues to slow down, and this is what we can expect for 2023, mortgage rates may stabilize below 6% in 2023. So again, we're seeing the experts, and they are all saying we're hopping back down into the fives. And Freddie Mac, which is one of the big GSEs, basically a government quasi-government agency that invests in all kinds of mortgages, but they say that forecasts the average 30-year mortgage start at 6.6 in Q1, which we're soon to be over with, and end at 6.2 in Q4. So we've got 6.2, we have 5.2, we have sub 6. So really we don't know, but what we do know is as inflation gets a little bit more under control, the decrease of inflation is always followed by a decrease in interest rates, and that's historical. So it's not Tim saying it; it's really just national statistics.
Yep. And nobody does have a crystal ball, but there's somebody that's very prominent in the mortgage prediction world, somebody whose name floats around many conference room tables, that has won the Crystal Ball Award, I think 4 years in a row. Barry Habib, right?
Right. And if you have a moment, Google Barry Habib, Habib, and he tells it the way it is. He's not a commentator. He is just an expert. So he will tear the commentators to shreds when they talk about how bad the housing market is.
Yeah. All right. So now breaking this down further to relate to the buyers that I deal with, I'm going to give you two scenarios. And what do you think the best way for a realtor outside of talk to Tim, obviously, what's the best way that as a realtor, we should handle this conversation? Number one, we've got the stereotypical person who is just looking to buy a house in the next 1 to 3 months. Could be a resale, could be a new construction, but their time frame is 1 to 3 months. For whatever the case may be, that's their time frame. So we're in a much shorter area. And then scenario B, you've got someone who is under contract for a production home with one of the national builders that won't be complete for maybe 8 months. Two very different scenarios, because when it comes to interest rates and closing time frames, you can only lock in that rate, I believe, a certain time frame before closing. So here we've got 1 to 3 months out, 8 months out. What do you think about it?
So, and funny that you mentioned that. I took in a contract yesterday with an 8-month build on a national builder. So in my discussion with that client, she said, let's just float it because we have no clue. And my recommendation is to float anyway, because Barry and some other experts are saying that the rates, as we make it into the year a little bit further, the rates are going to be down. So, I mean, we can lock 180 days out. So that's not a problem. We can even go further with some lenders. So the long play, the builders, I am saying float all day long. 1 to 3 months, I'm saying get your foot in the door. If you have to refinance a little bit later, let's get you in at these current housing prices, current interest rates, and we can't predict.
Right.
So I'm saying lock in one case, and I'm saying float in the other case.
Gotcha. Well, I think I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything else you need to highlight? Springtime is upon us. It's been in the 70s here. How's your golf game doing?
Absolutely fantastic. Never better, actually. I'm just playing old man golf right down the middle and make the putts.
Mr. Consistency. I can vouch for that.
You got it,
Tim,
brother.
thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. And I will include all of Tim's contact information so that you can ask him directly all of those financial questions that I know nothing about. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Thanks again, Tim. Appreciate all your service.
Appreciate it.